All right. Let's check here. Look good? Sound good? All righty. Let's get ready to roll here in just a second. Okay, I probably look blurry as crap, but we're gonna get rocking and rolling here. Three, two, one. We're live. We're live right now. This is a solo podcast for now. KarterKast college basketball. Welcome to the debut episode here on, I guess, the KarterKast YouTube channel and KarterKast Twitter account right now. We are live. We are going to this. Let me just preview this podcast going forward. So, first episode solo. If the Lord is kind to me, this will be the only solo episode we do. I hate doing solo episodes, but I thought for the first episode it would be good to do solo because we got to explain this show and everything. I've been wanting to get some college basketball takes off that I haven't been able to do outside of BYU stuff. So that's how this is going to go to start off this podcast. We'll do picks, we'll do previews, we'll get into all that. But first off, the podcast we're doing right now, KarterKast College Basketball. It's going to be a separate podcast feed that'll be up way later today, and it's going to be sometimes live, sometimes recorded streaming. Every time noon Eastern. We were a little bit late today due to technical difficulties, but that's going to be the show going forward. It's going to be once a week for now, a roughly 30-minute show, give or take. And I got to have a place to give off my college basketball takes. It's football season, and we're always doing football stuff here on the KarterKast. So I thought it's time to just do a separate college basketball thing, separate church and state a little bit right now. So very excited to get into things. We're going to dive into the Feast Week previews, talk about a little bit from the weekend action and going on. And so let's get ready. Let's rock and roll. I don't think I have anything more to say. It's just going to be a lot of me rambling today. So bear with me and let's do this thing. Shout out Dylan in the chat. We are live right now. So Dylan, first person in the chat, and I promise this, I will make this clear. Dylan Wilkerson will be the first guest on the show. Also, Dylan, if he wants, I'll send Dylan the link right now for crying out loud. I'll get him in here if we want. But anyhow, we'll get into this. I have a lot to get off. I have a lot to get off my chest right now because I've been wanting to talk college basketball for a long time now, and I have not had the chance to do it. We didn't get to do a preview show this year or anything, so let's do it. Let's do it. Weekend reaction. I want to talk about stuff from the weekend right now. I'm going to start off. I did a whole pod on this on Church Ball Pod. If you guys follow on there, you know you've seen this, you know this. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. BYU Wisconsin. The only takeaway I want to give off from BYU Wisconsin is BYU looked like a Final Four team on Friday against Wisconsin. BYU smashes them, and that is the potential of this BYU team, even with shaking up Kaba Keita, even with a Mood Davis that's, not running at, or Mood Davis who's not been able to play and who might not be able to play for a minute due to the legal circumstances there. Doesn't matter. That's what they showed at that point, that, hey, this is going to be what, third or fourth best team in the Big Ten. Went out and smacked them by 28 in the Delta Center on Friday night. BYU showed why they're a Final Four contender team, a national title contender team, and why AJ DeBansa is going to be the number one overall pick in next year's NBA draft. So BYU Wisconsin smashes them. Wisconsin, I'm holding my Wisconsin stock. I actually think they're going to be pretty solid this year. I just think when they go up against a super athletic team like that, they're going to struggle. I'm curious to see what happens when they play Michigan later on in Big Ten play this season. So going through the weekend action, we're not going to spend a ton of time on this since we're like 4 days removed from it. But Purdue, Texas Tech. Purdue showed us why this team was the number one team in the country coming into this season, why Braden Smith is the Naismith Player of the Year. And then Texas Tech on the flip side, I'm not saying I'm concerned about them, but it does make you think a little bit differently. I just think I think this is more positive about Purdue and how good Purdue is at this point. Purdue just time and I had the number one concern I had about Purdue coming into the season was defense. How is their defense going to look against these top opponents? And they showed some struggles against Oakland, but that was without Wren, and they looked shaky. They looked like they slept walking in that Memphis game. Looks like they didn't care. Texas Tech, man. I mean, it was 23-28 at one point in that ball game. Next thing before you know it, second half starting. We're at the under 16 time of the second half, and it's 26-55 at that point. So Purdue showed their full potential on Friday, which I thought was going to be a much better game. I actually thought Texas Tech was going to come out and win that game. and I was proven wrong in that one. So shout out Purdue. They are as legit as it gets. There are so many national title contenders when you're talking about college basketball this year. Then you get into that next year's like, do you consider Michigan State do we consider Michigan State a national title contender? Carolina. I feel like we have a set like 8-9 teams that were like, yes, those are national title contenders. And then you could probably convince me into another 10 or 11, honestly, at that point, too. So, big win for Purdue. That was awesome. And then the weekend was just a calm before the storm kind of thing because you had like Illinois playing a bye game. You had Duke doing the Brotherhood run where they played Niagara and Howard. And then you had UConn playing Bryant Silas Demery with a triple-double in that game. So not a ton to break down from the weekend, and that's why I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it. So therefore, let's move on. Let's do the little Feast Week preview coming up here. And at the end of the show, I haven't had a chance to talk about my national title picks or anything like that, or my Final Four picks. I briefly gave Final Four picks on Church Ball. Shout out Church Ball. Go subscribe if you're watching this right now. Great show. If you're a BYU fan, especially, I'm sure if you're a BYU fan here, you already are subscribed to that show anyway. So besides the point, Dylan Wilkerson will be joining us here shortly. Very excited about that. Let's get to some chats here. Pulling up the chat real quick. Jack Garvin, don't worry. We're getting Dylan in here. Don't worry. Dylan said, give me 5. He's going to have some picks. Uh-oh. Dylan, can you hear me?
Hello?
There we go. I got
you.
I can hear you.
Okay. I was watching the live stream. I get the YouTube notification. KarterKast college basketball is live. And all of a sudden, I'm hearing the Dylan signal. I'm hearing the bat signal from off in the distance. Let's get Dylan in here. I'll bill you, Karter. What's up? College basketball. What we got going on?
Bill me. That's okay. I was getting ready to dive into a big Feast Week preview and everything. I was doing a brief weekend reaction. There wasn't really much to talk about from this weekend. A bunch of blowouts, to be honest.
So here's the role that I can play in this show, right? I probably have about 10 or 15 minutes before my boss finds me on here and I get fired. I know, here's my knowledge of college basketball so far. The last full season I was invested, the big names, Kentucky, think John Wall era. That was the era I was invested in college basketball. What do I need to know as a casual sports bettor, college basketball fan for the season? Who are the 5 teams?
You need to know. The number one thing you need to know before the 5 teams is that the freshmen this year are out of this world good. Every single one of them are just disgusting. BYU's AJ DeBanza, Duke's Cam Boozer, Kansas's Darren Peterson. That's just to name a few. Caleb Wilson at Carolina. The freshmen are outrageous this year, Dylan. There's just not a bad one. There's like 7 dudes who could honestly have an argument for being the number 1 pick.
Kennard Davis, right?
Let's move on.
Next. I forgot we're live. Next. I'm used to recording. No, I'm kidding. So freshmen are good. I heard you say you're going to have to remind me of the BYU freshman's last name again.
AJ DeBanza.
DeBansta?
Dibanza.
Dibanza. Okay. Are there any? I heard you mention that he would be going to the draft next year. Are there any? Why wouldn't a guy like that that's so talented maybe want to stick around and help his team?
Why wouldn't anybody want to be a one and done guy? Why would a junior leave college football early to be a number 1 pick in the draft? You know,
that's a great question, but this isn't a college football
JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy had eligibility, didn't he?
No, I don't think so. He actually sat too. He sat and helped his team in a sitting capacity to move his team forward. But this isn't a college football show. This is a college basketball.
It's not a football show. Just trying to get some comparisons so you would understand. But anyhow, 5. I'll give you the 5 teams you need to know going into this season. It's Purdue, Houston, Duke, UConn.
Nice.
And then there's a tie at 5. BYU.
Okay.
And Arizona. Those are the 5 teams I think you need to be watching out for this season. Alabama's always going to be Alabama. Illinois is kind of frisky, and everyone has them as their sneaky national title contender. Michigan, I'm a little down on this Michigan team.
Well, here's the thing: preseason you were not, right?
I was not down on this Michigan team, but once I saw it on the court, I mean, they should have arguably lost to a TCU team that lost a bye game to New Orleans to start the season, and then you're going to overtime with Wake Forest. Wake Forest is taking you to the ringer.
So here's I cannot reiterate this enough. I do not watch college basketball, but I do have the Apple Sports app. It has your favorite teams and it shows up on your home screen, And I did happen to see that TCU and Wake Forest both took us down to the wire. That doesn't feel great, but we haven't lost yet, right?
Haven't lost.
That's all that matters.
Haven't lost. Is there anything else from college basketball you want to know about before I dive into the Feast Week preview?
I'm going to ask this question on behalf of my mother. How are we feeling about Belmont?
Gonna need to watch some film on Belmont.
Gonna need to watch a little more Belmont.
I'm not gonna lie to the people and talk about teams I haven't watched yet.
Okay, that's fair. I'm gonna have to hop off here as you get into the Feast Week talk, but I want to leave the viewers with a couple tidbits here. You ready?
Go for it.
Tidbit number 1 today, 2 p.m. Creighton plays Baylor under 155.5. The only and I need the audience to know this. The only college basketball bets I've lost this year are ones that the host has given me. Every other bet I've hit.
Am I allowed to tell that?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right. You tell it.
Hey, that's the first pick of this show. That's the first ever pick on this show. Under.
Of course. And then I do want to get a reality check because I placed this bet at the beginning of the year, and I don't watch. I have Louisville plus 594 to make the Final Four. How are we looking?
Fine. That's a great bet.
I love it.
That's a great
all I wanted
bet.
to hear.
You would hate watching them, Dylan. They give up a lot of points, but they score a lot of points. They want to play into the 90s.
I love it. Now, I do have one more question. Kick Dylan out. No Moo slander in the chat. Who's Moo?
Kennard Davis. He goes by Moo.
Okay. All right. That's my cue to go. Thanks, Carter. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Sorry,
Peace
Jack.
out, Dylan. All right. That was Dylan Wilkerson for you fellas. This will be a lot more routine and organized and everything going forward. First show. We're just we're warming up here. So let's share the screen here. Everyone's like, you got to talk about the Players Era Festival first. I'm a college basketball traditionalist. We're going with Maui first. I want to talk about the Maui field real quick. Does the Maui field absolutely stink? Yes, it does. It's absolutely terrible. If I can make this bigger here, I think that looks good. The Maui field absolutely stinks. And I'm not even going to sit here and break down all these teams in the Maui and everything. I'm not going to go on here and be like, well, I like Chaminade's 2-3 zone. No, we're not doing that. I think NC State runs away with this one. I think NC State's by far and away the best team in here. And NC State, I think they have Final Four potential. They're not a national title level good team quite yet. But Darren Williams, I think, will end up being ACC Player of the Year. It'll be a two-man race between him and Cam Boozer, Caleb Wilson right there at probably 3. But NC State should run away with this one. Texas, Boise State, whatever. But this is a broader point about the Maui Invitational that pisses me off, is that why isn't this the number one tournament right now? Now we have this stupid Players Era Festival where I'm having to get a PhD to learn how the Players Era Festival works, where there's different coefficients and crap like that. I'm having to learn 9th grade geometry all over again just to understand who's going to be playing in the next round of a tournament. It makes absolutely no sense how this tournament works. And also on top of that, there's just no juice. There's no tradition behind it. Yeah, maybe eventually, that people will enjoy it. And maybe I'm just, old man yelling at a cloud right now. But the Maui is Maui, man. That's special. If I was a multi-billionaire guy and if I was a company that's like, I want to advertise in sports right now, I want to throw a bunch of money into, whatever event I want to sponsor. Shout out Bad Boy Mowers or Southwest, whoever. I would be throwing millions at the Maui Invitational. Go to Maui and get the NIL money out there. Try to match the Players Era tournament and just do it in Maui with a smaller field. If you only need 8 teams. You're not having to put up the same amount as the Players Era. They're grabbing like 32 teams or whatever. You only need 7 to 8. You can have Chaminade there. I love having Chaminade in this field. You only need 7 to 8 teams. Just put up. If you need to find someone to put up the money to give out for NIL for this tournament, we cannot lose the Maui Invitational. But if we don't find someone to put up the NIL money for it, we're going to lose this. Everything's going to end up being the Players Era tournament, or it's going to be the whatever whatever gives up the most NIL to players to play in a 3-game Thanksgiving tournament or whatever. It's just terrible. Like we're don't college football my college basketball right now. That's what I want. That's what I'm worried about with Feast Week right now. We're going to see NC State and Seton Hall tip off here in about an hour or so, and we're going to go, this just doesn't have the juice to it. You're going to see the social posts and everything. It's losing its luster, and I can't have that. As someone who loves college basketball just about more than anything, we can't have that happen to the Maui. Can't have that happen. BYU plays in it next year, by the way. But anyhow, previewing this real quick, I like NC State a lot. I think NC State's going to run away with this thing. I do like Texas. I think Sean Miller is eventually going to get that program going. It's going to take 2 to 3 years, though. They're a year away from being a year away for me, to be honest. So I think Texas gives them kind of a run for their money, but NC State, they should run away with this one. Van Allen Lubin, Will Wade keeps talking about Carolina, and that's a different story. We'll move on from that. But I love Paul McNeil, Matt Abel, Darian Williams, obviously. Trey Holloman, I'm keeping my eye on. I'm worried about him running the point guard position for NC State. The big men are a problem at NC State, but I think Van Allen Lubin and these guys, I don't think another team has the front court to really cause NC State issues in this tournament. And no one has better guard play, and no one has a better player in this tournament than NC State and Will Wade. So give me NC State. They're probably the betting favorites coming into this thing. I'm taking the Wolfpack. Let's move on, and this brings me no joy. Absolutely no joy. This stupid Players Era Festival tournament thing. I don't even know. I mean, what even is this? What even is this? Oh, yeah, we got me in a circle down there. I like that. All right, so you're looking at the Players Era. There's just so many games. You have no idea who's going to be playing the following 2 days and whatnot. But you got some awesome matchups here. That's the worst part about this. You've got Auburn, Oregon. That's going to be a great game. St. John's, Iowa State. Creighton, Baylor. Shout out Dylan with the under. Alabama, Gonzaga. Like, are you kidding me? There are so many good games. I don't know. For the winner for this thing, I don't hate St. John's as a sleeper. St. John's, if they can get out of that first game against Iowa State, I think St. John's has a real chance to actually win this tournament. Houston's probably going to be the betting favorite because I think they have an easier field having to play Syracuse. Syracuse, I like Syracuse with the points against Houston, but they have an easy path. And you would think Kansas has an easy path in this thing, but without Darren Peterson, I think Kansas could very well lose both of those games against Notre Dame and Syracuse. Now, I think Notre Dame's a little bit better than what people think. I think Syracuse is a little better than what people think. Kansas is just, we can get into this because I'm not going to have time to do futures and everything on this show today. Kansas. Without Darren Peterson, this team's bona fide NIT. They're not making the NCAA tournament. I know Darren Peterson, they said he's only out for 3 or 4 games. You just know with those hamstring injuries, those can be nagging injuries. I worry about that going forward with this Kansas program. I mean, they put up a good fight against Duke in the Champions Classic. Carolina, even with Darren Peterson, just looked like so much the better team. Outside of Peterson, I mean, they are truly an NIL team. They are middle of the pack, even lower tier Big 12 team. Melvin Council's going to put Bill Self into retirement the way he shoot these 3-point balls. I mean, 1 for 13 on the season. Are you kidding me? Flory Badunga's solid. I think this is going to be a massive wake-up call for Kansas, even in this tournament. I don't know what the spread is on these games. I like Notre Dame. I like Syracuse. I think they might even win outright. Even they could be double-digit underdogs. I don't really care. I don't think Kansas gets out of both of those alive, to be honest. You got Tennessee in this tournament. I'm not a big Nate Ament fan, but I'm a huge Rick Barnes fan. I think Rick Barnes, you can call him the James Franklin of college basketball. He gets such a bad rap, I think. I mean, the fact that he's turned this Tennessee program into what they are and he's putting them in the Elite Eight and Sweet 16 year after year and putting them in these really solid positions, winning a ton of games. You can't really ask much more out of your coach. And I agree with the lifetime contract and everything for Rick Barnes, but I don't like Nate Ament that much. I think Nate Ament really he's a good stats bad team kind of guy. I think he's super inefficient. You have to put up a ton of shots for him to be an efficient player. I'm not big on Tennessee in this tournament. Gonzaga, I have not gotten to watch enough film on this Gonzaga team, and I'm excited to watch Thanksgiving here. I've only gotten to see a little bit of the Gonzaga Bulldogs, but everybody is back in on Gonzaga, whether that's Mark Few, whether it's, people. I need to watch more Gonzaga before I can confidently say whether I believe this team can be a Final Four caliber team or not, or even national title level. So Alabama is Alabama. As simple as that sounds, it is the same thing. It is a Nate Oates system. It is guards, Aiden Holloway, LeBaron Philon, who are just going to put up a ton of shots, a ton of threes, and they want layups and three-pointers. And they're going to give up 90 points, but they're probably going to score 100 points. It's going to be the same thing with Alabama. Is that a sustainable model going forward this season to winning in March in the NCAA tournament? History tells us no. They made the Final Four, and they even put up a great fight against UConn in that one. But I don't think this is a national title level team. I think they are a Final Four, a team that can make the Final Four. But we even saw it last year when Duke plays them in the Elite Eight. When you play that way, unless you're shooting 45% from three on a given night, you're just giving up too many layups. In this tournament, I think they can definitely win it, especially when you have the field of Gonzaga and UNLV. I don't know, man. I don't know. I like Alabama, but I just eventually we saw it even in the Illinois game. I know they won the Illinois game and the St. John's game, but St. John's wants to play into the 60s. You're still giving up 90 points to a St. John's team. Eventually, that's not going to work out. Gonzaga, Alabama, I think, is the game I'm most excited for. Jack in the chat says the future is now, old man. Players era is dope. I'm telling you, it's you think it's gonna be dope, and then you're gonna be wondering, oh, what game am I watching on Thursday? I don't even know who's playing on Thanksgiving. I don't know who's playing on Wednesday. I have no idea. Players era, it's here to stay. It's gonna be It's gonna be the premier Thanksgiving tournament. I'm going to do whatever I can do to make sure Maui happens and Maui comes back with a vengeance. I'm not going to keep going too much longer on this preview because I think this is going to be pretty boring here. But I like St. John's this year. The point guard play is hilarious because all offseason Rick Pitino's like Ian Jackson. He's going to be this great point guard, and Ian Jackson was used in the wrong ways at Carolina. Then game one, Rick Pitino's like, oh, Ian Jackson actually he's not a point guard, he's a two guard, and we all knew that all season long last year. We got Michigan, San Diego State here. I like this Michigan team. I just worry Elliot Cadeau is such an enigma of a basketball player because I like so much what he does and I hate so much of what he does because he's such a liability on defense. He can't shoot the ball as your primary ball handler, which is going to be a problem come March. And that's why I don't believe in this Michigan team come March now. But then you have a guy like Yaxel Lindenberg who should be perfect parent with Elliot Cadeau. They've squeaked out these games against Wake Forest and TCU. I don't know. I mean, they have a fairly easy path in a loaded players era. I don't think it's going to end well for the Michigan Wolverines. I think as many problems as we've seen with Auburn, who arguably should have won that Houston game, I think Auburn's going to beat them in that second game. So we'll see. Oregon, I'm excited to watch. Creighton, I'm excited to watch. I've not been able to dive into them enough. Very excited to watch this tournament, even though meh. There's just no juice. It's just money hungry. It's gross. I despise it. I despise it with every bone in my body. But anyhow, other college basketball stuff. We got some great games this week. I will say, as a Duke fan, I know I give Dan Hurley and UConn a lot of crap for not playing in NTEs and these invitationals and everything, but John Shire, come on, man. I know your schedule. You have a really tough schedule. I credit you for that. Play in one of these MTEs. They're awesome. They're awesome. Game after game, back to back days. I love seeing it. And it really prepares you for the tournament, having to play the back to back days. I think it's awesome. And shame on all these coaches who are like, I'm not playing in these tournaments and whatnot. I'm just doing one off neutral site games. But speaking of that, we've got the Paris Chocolate ESPN Invitational with BYU, Miami, Georgetown, Dayton. I'll preview that on Church Ball. Go check that out on there. We got North Carolina, Michigan State. What an awesome game! And year after year, I can never pick this Michigan State team right. The second you think Michigan State's going to be good, and Michigan State's supposed to be a 1 seed in the tournament coming into the year, and they have all these expectations, they crumble. They're terrible. They're awful. And then Tom Izzo is the underdog. Tom Izzo, when people are overlooking him, is maybe the best coach in the country. They're 5-0 at this point. They absolutely mollywopped Kentucky. Then you go out and you beat Arkansas. I mean, Tom Izzo just continues to do it over and over again. And I don't even necessarily love the talent that much on this Michigan State team. I think they're solid. I just think they're greater than the sum of their parts. Jackson Kohler is solid. He's everything's just efficient with this Michigan State team. Fears averaging 10.4 assists in college basketball. And if you're kind of a college basketball casual and you watch the NBA from time to time, 10.4 assists is outrageous in college basketball. That is the equivalent to, in my opinion, 13, 14 assists in the NBA. Cohen Carr is an electric factory. I feel like we're having to put at the Field of 68, having to put up Cohen Carr highlights every day. Every time he's on a fast break, it's just a human highlight reel. But this is going to be an excellent test against Carolina because I was back and forth with this Carolina team all off season because everyone was getting ready, was wanting to dunk on Carolina, and I agree with that. I think Carolina, with the amount of money they spent nearly $15 million on their roster. I think they could have gone a lot of better directions with how they spent, but the results are there for Carolina. They're winning their games. Yeah, your only test so far has been Kansas, but you won that test and you showed, hey, you came back in that game. You were losing and you came back and just absolutely dominated that second half. Yes, it was at home. Yes, this Kansas team isn't that great. I don't care. I'm okay talking positively about the North Carolina Tar Heels. Caleb Wilson is that guy. Caleb Wilson is awesome. Caleb Wilson, in a lot of years, is in contention for the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft. This year, I still think there's a drop-off after the top 3. But regardless, this game, Carolina, Michigan State, I like Michigan State here. I think they've been battle tested more, and I don't necessarily like what I've seen with Carolina without Seth Trimble. This is not a knock on Carolina going forward. This is not saying Carolina is going to be a bad team or Carolina is this bad team. I just think Michigan State right now, the way they've played in these big games, they've shown up, and it just Jeremy Fears, man, the amount of assists he's putting up, Cohen Carr, highlight reel, Jackson Kohler, how does he play against? I'm assuming he's going to be going up against Caleb Wilson in this game. I like Michigan State to pull it out here. Weirdly, this game is in Fort Myers, Florida, which is very random, but okay. I think Carolina, the downfall of the Carolina Tar Heels this year is going to be the point guard play for them. Kyan Evans, yeah, you give him a lot of money from Colorado State. Yeah, he can shoot the ball really well. I don't feel comfortable from what I've seen so far from Carolina about him running your offense. I don't think it's very fluid. I don't think it's very smooth. He's an awesome shooter. I think he's much better off the ball. I don't necessarily, if Seth Trimble is going to be out for longer than what we expect, I assume he's going to be back for conference play. If Seth Trimble's out for an extended period of time, I think this is going to be a lot of trouble for Carolina. Luckily, they don't have a super, super tough schedule going forward. It's really their only other test after this until conference play is Kentucky, and Kentucky is locker room drama right now. We can get into that in a minute, but give me Michigan State in this one. Another Thanksgiving game headlining Duke versus Arkansas. John Shire, Coach Calipari in Chicago at the United Center where the Bulls play. Duke, you talk about battle tested. I mean, you've got their win against Texas and you got their win against Kansas. Now, I don't think either of those are great teams. I just talked about that with Carolina right now with Kansas, and that was Kansas without Darren Peterson. But Arkansas, they should have lost to Winthrop. They were in a dogfight with Samford. This is when John Shire needs to come out and put an absolute statement on this game and show, okay, this Duke team is a national title level team. I think they already are. I think same vein as Duke. I worry about point guard play for this Duke team going forward. I think Caden Boozer has already shown it with minutes he's getting over Caleb Foster, but Caden Boozer is their point guard on this team. Caleb Foster is just not a true college basketball point guard. He's not good enough at that position. That's going to be the downfall of this Duke team this year because I think Caden Boozer is a year away from being a special point guard and taking in. If you're going to be a national title level team, you have to have a top level point guard, an elite level point guard. And I just don't think Duke has that this year. But Duke is playing so well within the system right now of John Shire, man. Just this guy. Yes, he gets to recruit whoever he wants. Yes, he can bring in whoever. But his roster construction and the way his teams play within this system, I don't think this team is anywhere near as good as last year's team. I don't think they're in the same stratosphere. If we're playing a one-off game between last year's team and this year's team, I'm taking last year's team minus 10.5 at least. I don't think they're even close to this point. But it doesn't matter because Cam Boozer's able to he's so efficient in putting up tons and tons of stats. Meanwhile, Isaiah Evans can light it up from three. They just play so well in the system. They are so unselfish, and it's such fun basketball to watch. Even if you're a neutral observer, they play such fun basketball. They're not as exciting as up and down as Cooper Flagg and Con Knippel of last year, but they're efficient and they're winning ball games. So I like Duke a lot over Arkansas on this one. I'm going to Bart Torvik right now to see what the line is going to be for this game. Arkansas, just like Darius Acuff, am I the biggest fan? No. Just okay. Malik Thomas is putting up stats in Brazil, Carter Knox, DJ Wagner, like Billy Richmond. These are all names you love to hear. And then when you watch it on the court, it's just the same old story of Calipari is just not a great X's and O's coach. We've seen it year after year where once Calipari teams get stuck in the half court, what is their offense? There really isn't one. There's no identity to what, especially this Arkansas team is, but usually to a Coach Cal team. And that was the problem at Kentucky for years. Right now, Bart Torvik has Duke as a 6.5 point favorite, winning 81-74. I agree with that. I would actually take Duke probably by double digits in this one, if we're being honest. I don't know who is going to be able to stop Cam Boozer in this game, and Duke's whole key has got to be slowing down these guards. So give me Duke over Arkansas. Shocker there. I know everyone's saying, oh, Karter picked Duke. Karter picked Duke. Shocker. I know. We've just got so many good games. You're looking through the slate right now where you just sit on your couch and watch nonstop basketball. You got Houston minus 3.5 over Tennessee. That's a sketchy line. That line tells you Tennessee's winning that ball game, if we're going to be honest here. On Wednesday, we don't know what any of the great games are going to be. Texas Tech, New Orleans. Shout out New Orleans. Then we've got UConn, Illinois on Friday at 12:30 Eastern time on Fox in Madison Square Garden. What a test for both of these teams. We're going to find out if Illinois is a legitimate contender for the national title in this game. UConn, I hope Braylon Mullins is going to be playing in this one. I hope Terrace Reed's going to be playing in this one. I want to see fully healthy UConn versus a fully healthy Illinois team. And I kind of like UConn in this game. I know that's the square pick, but that second half from Illinois, they just could not stop Alabama. They had no answer for Alabama from beyond the arc. I trust Dan Hurley's system and the actions they're going to run against this Illinois team to where I think it's going to be a lot of easy buckets for them. I think it's going to be a lot of I just think it's going to be UConn all the way in this one where I love this Illinois team. They're so exciting, but with Illinois year after year, it's the same thing of the talent's there, everything's there, and then there's just like the most boneheaded plays all nonstop. Oh, and Dylan's trying to get a UConn in the chat. I feel like this is going to eventually be a problem once this show grows and we start getting bigger chats and everything. I'm going to get D nuts left and right on this show. I'm just warning you guys right now. So, I'm not going to dive too much into this. Just give me UConn over Illinois. I'm just curious to see both of these teams. I think this is a great test for both of them. Hopefully they're fully healthy. Very, very, very excited to watch that one. Couple more things before we wrap up and get out of here. Kentucky right now. If you're ever going to buy stock on Kentucky, it's right now. Now, Mark Pope, this guy recruited. The problem with Kentucky, Mark Pope, in my opinion, is he has been recruiting teams that don't fit his system. I think he's just been given unlimited amounts of money, and you're just going through player rankings on, on 3 or 24/7 or whatever, and you're saying, "Oh, I want him. I want him. I want him. I want him. I'm just going to go grab him." And then that's how it works at Kentucky, because you have $22 million to work with, $20+ million to work with. So I the locker room stuff is kind of hilarious, because we look back at last season with Auburn, and they had to have an emergency landing because they were having a fist fight on a plane. Now Kentucky's having fights in the locker room. Jalen Lowe has been, a locker room cancer, according to people right now. It's just been a disaster, Kentucky. Then you have Colin Chandler posting pictures with the whole team, be like, "We love, we love this team and everything." I think Kentucky's going to eventually be fine, because I think Mark Pope is a good enough coach, but he has to adapt his system to a team that can't shoot the ball. It's got to be more inside than out. You cannot be sitting there putting up 35, 43s a game for a team that's just a bunch of 25 to 30% three-point shooters. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So give me, if you're ever going to do it, now's the time. But it is very interesting, because Mark Pope going forward, like, he's got to just recruit shooters. That's his entire system of this team. But instead, they're recruiting these guys that don't really fit at all into his system going forward. I'm curious to see what happens next week against Carolina. I think that's going to be I think that's going to show us a lot from both of those teams, if we're being honest. So that's my Kentucky rant as well. Dylan in chat said, "Hey, Karter, what team is Hurley coach?" Arizona State. Bobby Hurley coaches Arizona State, Dylan. Thank you very much. Jack in the chat said, "Dylan, what's the name of the green villain in the Spider-Man movie?" I'll let you guys answer that one in the chat. But anyhow, we'll be doing this every Monday. Hopefully we'll be able to go live every Monday. I'm going to try and have guests on, different college basketball creators, analysts, and eventually we're going to get coaches interviews on here and everything. Very excited for that. So make sure to subscribe. KarterKast. So it's going to be on the KarterKast YouTube channel, and this will be on a separate podcast feed. KarterKast College Basketball. We could have come up with a better name, but the creative department here at KarterKast Enterprises is struggling right now. So anyhow, make sure to subscribe. At CarterBA is the personal account. We'll be back next week. We're going to have a loaded show reacting to everything from Feast Week, and we're going to probably bring on some more, and we're going to have some more guests coming on and everything. It'll be a longer show. So make sure to tune in. We'll see y'all then.